Hey guys, welcome back to Beyond the Box Score, and I am your host Hayat. Today, we're breaking down 6 college basketball matchups on February 28th, and I'm walking through every angle the same way I do on camera, thinking out loud. Working through the spots, the travel, the pressure, the momentum swings, the matchup edges, and how these games could realistically play out if things unfold the way the situations suggest. This is pure analysis and opinion, no guarantees, no promises, just me connecting the dots and building out realistic game scripts based on what we're seeing. Alright, February 28th, 6 games, let's lock in and start connecting the dots. First we have Arkansas at Florida. The lean here is Florida laying 8.5 points and a lean toward the over. Let me walk through why. I've been high on both of these teams, and if you watch me, you already know Arkansas has made me some money this season. They've been a cover machine. I haven't really faded them much, I've been on the side of taking them, and even in their last game I took the over and that over cashed. So I'm not coming into this looking to step in front of Arkansas blindly. But if this matchup plays out like I think it might, the style is what connects everything for me. Arkansas likes to run and gun, they play at a very fast pace, they like to put up a bunch of points. That's who they are, and normally I'm comfortable riding with that. But if you're going to get in a shootout, and you're going to do it in Gainesville, against Florida, that's where I start to hesitate. Florida has a top 10 defense in the country. Not just solid, top 10. They've got a ton of size, and when you combine size with a top 10 defense in the country, that's where matchup problems start stacking up. One path I see here is Arkansas forcing tempo, trying to turn this into their kind of game. But what connects for me is I don't see how this Arkansas defense stops Florida enough to stay inside 8.5 if it becomes a scoring contest. Because Florida is going to score the ball plenty as well. And at home, in Gainesville, that matters. If this turns into a shootout, I actually think that favors Florida, not Arkansas. That's the twist here. Arkansas wants pace, Arkansas wants points, but Florida can meet that and still defend at a higher level. And that's why I think Florida wins this one by double digits. I'm talking 10 to 12 points. By 10, maybe 12, that's the range I land on. So when I look at 8.5, laying 8.5 doesn't scare me if I'm projecting a 10-12 point type of margin. And then you layer in the total angle. The last Arkansas game, the over cashed. We know Arkansas is going to score the ball. We know they like to run and gun, very fast pace, put up a bunch of points. Florida is going to score the ball plenty as well. So an over could be a good play here too. I lean towards the over as well because if Arkansas drags this into their tempo, that inflates possessions, and Florida's offense combined with Arkansas's style could push this thing up. So yeah, give me Florida here. Lay the points. Lean toward the over as well. That's why the lean sticks at Florida laying 8.5 points and a lean toward the over. Here we have another game between Louisville versus Clemson. The lean here is Clemson plus the points. Let me walk through why. Clemson is on a full-blown skid right now. They've lost 4 straight games. And when I say struggling to score, I mean look at the numbers. They only put up 66 against Virginia Tech. They put up 54 against Duke. They put up 65 against Florida State. They did put up 77 against Wake Forest, but Wake Forest put up 85 in that game. So even when they scored 77, they gave up 85. That's the stretch. That's the profile. That's why people are ready to fade them. And that's exactly why I start thinking buy low spot. Because the public is likely going to fade Clemson after 4 straight losses. I get it, but what connects for me is context. The last time Clemson played was against Florida State last Saturday. They've had 7 days off since that game. 7 days to think about mistakes, to work on mistakes, to regroup, to reflect. If this matchup plays out like a reset spot at home, that 7-day break matters. Especially when you look at their home splits. Even in their losses, they're still 11-3 straight up at home. 11-3 straight up at home is not nothing. That's not a team that folds in this building. And then I flip it to Louisville. I still think Louisville is one of the top teams in the ACC, but they've been up and down this season. They played Monday night against North Carolina, they played a hard-fought game, and they lost that one. So now you've got Louisville coming off a Monday night loss, going on the road, and Louisville is 3-6 straight up on the road this season, 3-6 straight up on the road versus Clemson 11-3 straight up at home. That contrast is what connects for me. One path I see here is Clemson's defense, which is still strong defensively even if they haven't been able to score, tightening this game up. Because that's the thing, they just haven't been able to score. The defense is still there. And if they can get back to even average offensive production, this becomes tight. And because they're playing so bad right now, we're actually able to get a good price with them. That's the buy low spot. I might be catching a fallen knife, sure. But I'm buying low on Clemson. I think this is when we hop on them. If this game is close and competitive like I expect, those points matter. We might need those. And there's even a path where Clemson wins outright in this building at 11-3 straight up at home against a Louisville team that's 3-6 straight up on the road. So yeah, take the Tigers here. Take the points. Give me Clemson plus the points. That's why the lean sticks at Clemson plus the points. Next game we have Alabama at Tennessee. The lean here is Alabama and give me the points. Let me walk through why. I've made some money fading this Bama team this season. I've been vocal about thinking they've taken a bit of a step down from the Bama teams we've seen over the last couple years. And they've taken some tough losses this season, so I'm not pretending this is some flawless profile. But what connects for me right now is form versus perception. This team has won 7 straight games, 7 straight. And yet they're still 12-16 ATS. They have struggled to cover spreads all year. They're 12-16 ATS, Tennessee is also 12-16 ATS, same ATS record as Alabama, so it's not like Tennessee has been some world beater against the number either. If this matchup plays out like a tight SEC battle late in the year, I want the team that's won 7 straight games and is catching points. Because that's the key, we're catching points with Alabama here. And this is a revenge spot. They played on January 24th, not that long ago. That game was at Alabama. Tennessee was catching 3.5 points in that one, and Tennessee ended up winning that game by 6. So now I flip it and I ask myself, what are the chances Tennessee beats Alabama twice? What are the chances you beat Alabama twice in a season, especially when Alabama has won 7 straight games and is getting hot at the right time? One path I see here is Alabama coming in motivated, remembering that January 24th loss where Tennessee caught 3.5 and won by 6. And responding with urgency. What connects for me is that both teams sit at 12-16 ATS, so there's no clear edge against the number, but momentum leans Alabama with 7 straight wins. And even though they've struggled to cover spreads, if this turns into a tight game, I just need them inside the number because I'm catching points. I've been critical of this Bama team. I've said they've taken a bit of a step down, but this is still Bama at the end of the day. They're considered a team to watch in the SEC Conference Tournament, and if they're getting hot at the right time, I want to back them in this spot. If this matchup plays out like a revenge narrative with Alabama playing sharper late in the year, I think the value is grabbing the points. I'm going to be on Bama. I'll take Bama here. Give me the points. Yeah, that's why the lean sticks at Alabama and give me the points. Quick pause. If you've got an even one lean you like so far, hit that like button right now. That's how I know these full slate breakdowns are worth the time and the deep dive. And if you're new here or you keep coming back for these breakdowns, hit subscribe. It takes 1 second for you, but it means everything for the channel and helps Beyond the Box Score keep growing. Alright, let's get back into it. Next we have Gonzaga at St. Mary's. The lean here is the under is my favorite play and a lean towards St. Mary's on the side. Let me walk through why. This is number 1 in the West Coast Conference versus number 2 in the West Coast Conference, and every year it feels like this matchup defines the league. I've gone back and forth on the side, I really have, but what connects for me immediately is the total. The last time these teams played, the final score was 73-65. The total in that game was set at 144.5 and it went under. So we already have a head-to-head example where 73-65 stays under 144.5. Now layer in the season-long trends. Gonzaga is 18-1 to the under in Gonzaga games, 18-1 to the under. That's not a small sample. And the under is 17-12 in St. Mary's games this season. So if this matchup plays out like 2 top 20 defenses locking in, points are going to come at a premium. Gonzaga does not play at a slow pace. Gonzaga actually does play with some pace, but St. Mary's plays at a very slow pace. So what happens when a team that plays with some pace runs into a team that plays at a very slow pace with a top 20 defense? One path I see here is St. Mary's dictating tempo at home, grinding possessions, forcing Gonzaga into half-court sets, and that naturally leans under. It's going to be hard-fought. It's going to be scrappy. Low-scoring game in my opinion. That's why my favorite play for this game is going to be the under. Now on the side, I do think Gonzaga is the better team. If this game was played on a neutral and these teams played 10 times, I think Gonzaga would probably win 7 of those games. I think Gonzaga is the best team in the West Coast Conference and I do give them the edge overall. But this game is being played at St. Mary's, and St. Mary's is 16-0 straight up at home this season. 16-0 straight up at home. One of the toughest places to play in the country. The last time St. Mary's played at home was against Santa Clara, and they won that game by 19 points. That's what St. Mary's can do on their home court. They are a different animal there. So if this matchup plays out like St. Mary's controlling pace with their very slow style, leveraging 2 top 20 defenses, using their size to give Gonzaga troubles in the paint and slowing Gonzaga from the perimeter, I can absolutely see St. Mary's winning outright. If you're giving me St. Mary's and a couple points on their home court at 16-0 straight up at home, I have to lean that way. So yeah, my favorite play is the under, 18-1 to the under in Gonzaga games, 17-12 to the under in St. Mary's games, previous meeting 73-65 under 144.5, and for the side I lean towards St. Mary's. Give me the Gales, give me St. Mary's. But like the under more. That's why the lean sticks at the under is my favorite play and a lean towards St. Mary's on the side. Let's roll into next game, Colorado at Houston. The lean here is Houston, lay the points. Let me walk through why. I know Houston is on a 3-game losing streak. I know they've failed to cover in their last 5. I know they've lost their last 3 games. And the first question people are going to ask is, should we fade them? Should we step in front of a team on a 3-game losing streak that hasn't covered in 5 straight? And for me, hell no. If this matchup plays out like a correction spot, what connects for me is value created by recent losses. Because here's the thing, if Houston had won their last 3 games, or won 2 out of their last 3, or even won 1 of their last 3, this line would be higher. It would be jacked up even more. So even though Houston is laying a massive number, this is still technically a buy low spot on Houston. That sounds crazy with a massive number attached, but context matters. They lost at Iowa State. They played against Arizona, and some people are saying Arizona is the best team in the country. Then they were at Allen Fieldhouse. At Iowa State, against Arizona, at Allen Fieldhouse, those are 3 brutal games. So if this matchup plays out like Houston finally getting some relief in schedule difficulty, that matters. Now they get Colorado at home. And Colorado is 1-7 straight up on the road this season, 1-7 straight up on the road. They've been decent at home. You can give looks at Colorado at home, but you cannot give looks to this team on the road. So if Houston is coming off 3 losses and failed to cover in their last 5, I actually think that fuels them. One path I see here is Houston coming out angry, coming out pissed off, wanting to put a beating on Colorado. And because they've lost 3 straight, we're getting a better number. We're getting Houston at a discounted price because of that 3-game losing streak. If this game turns into Houston flexing at home against a team that's 1-7 straight up on the road, this could get ugly fast. I'm expecting a slaughtering. That's the word that keeps coming back to me. A slaughtering. The fact that Houston is laying a massive number doesn't scare me because the situational edge is stacked in their favor. So yeah, I'm laying it with Houston. Lay the points. That's why the lean sticks at Houston, lay the points. Next game we have Texas Tech at Iowa State. The lean here is Iowa State, and I'm going to lay it. Let me walk through why. We all know JT Toppin goes down with a season-ending injury. Season-ending injury. That's not minor. And to Texas Tech's credit, they've looked great in their last 2 games. They beat Kansas State at home. They beat Cincinnati at home. They were smoking Kansas State at home. They were smoking Cincinnati at home. They've looked great in their last 2 games and they've played great without JT Toppin. So I understand if someone says, well, maybe they've adjusted, maybe they're fine. But if this matchup plays out like a true road test at Hilton Coliseum, that's when I think the absence of JT Toppin really shows up. Because now you're not at home. Now you're not beating Kansas State at home or Cincinnati at home. Now you're going into Hilton Coliseum, and Iowa State has one of the best home court advantages in all of basketball. They are 15-0 straight up at home this season, 15-0 straight up at home. That's dominance. And if I look at Iowa State's last couple home games, they beat Houston at home. Then they beat Kansas by 18 points. By 18 points. That's not squeaking by. That's not surviving. That's controlling. So if this matchup plays out like Iowa State doing what they always do at Hilton, feeding off that home court advantage, I can't fade that. I can't fade Iowa State at home right now. Even if Toppin was playing in this game, I would still be on Iowa State in this one. That's how strong I feel about this spot. Texas Tech is short-handed. Yes, they got a couple wins under their belt without JT Toppin. Yes, they were smoking Kansas State at home and smoking Cincinnati at home. But this is different. This is a different animal. This is a different monster. Hilton Coliseum at 15-0 straight up at home this season, coming off beating Houston at home and beating Kansas by 18 points, that's a different level. One path I see here is Iowa State jumping on them early, forcing Texas Tech to feel that short-handed rotation in a hostile environment. And if that happens, I think Iowa State wins this one by double digits. The home court advantage is really the main confidence factor for me laying this many points against a team like Texas Tech. So yeah, I'm on Iowa State. I'm going to lay it. Give me the Cyclones. That's why the lean sticks at Iowa State, and I'm going to lay it. Alright, that wraps it up for all 6 matchups on February 28th. As always, this was analysis and opinion only, nothing guaranteed, just me working through how these games could realistically play out if the situations line up the way they look on paper. Now I want to hear from you. Drop AZ in the comments and tell me which game stood out the most to you. Was there a spot you agreed with? Or is there one you're attacking completely differently? More breakdowns like this coming soon, same raw format, same deep dives, same beyond the box score energy. I'll see you in the next one.